The first thing you have to understand is the cold. It's not the kind of cold you know. It's not the chill that makes you zip up your jacket on a snowy day. It's a different thing entirely. It's a living entity. It's a predator. It's a cold that goes past your skin, past your muscles, and finds your bones. It's a cold that freezes the oil in your rifle, that turns a can of sea rations into a solid block of ice, that freezes your blood, and that freezes a man's soul. My name is Elias Thorne. I'm 89 years old, and for 70 of those years, I've tried to forget. They called it the Forgotten War. When we came home, there were no parades. There were no crowds at the docks. People were buying new cars, watching this new thing called television. The war, it was just a smudge on the front page. Forgotten. But you don't forget. You can't. You can't forget the sound of the Chinese bugles at midnight. You can't forget the smell of cordite in the frozen air. And you can't forget your best friend's face, pale and bloodless, as he freezes to death in your arms. My job wasn't to fight. I was a corpsman, a medic, attached to the 1st Marine Division. My job was to patch men up, to keep them alive. But at the Chosin Reservoir, my main enemy wasn't the bullets. It was the temperature. It was 30 below zero, and it was the devil himself. It all started in Boston. Me and Danny Sullivan. We grew up together in Southie. Inseparable. He was the loud one, always ready with a joke, always looking for a good time. I was the quiet one, the reader. When the North Koreans crossed the 38th parallel in June of 1950, Danny was the first one at the recruiting office. "Come on, Eli," he said, slapping me on the back. "It's an adventure. We'll kick him back, and we'll be home by Christmas." Home by Christmas. Those were the words everyone used. General MacArthur himself said it. So I signed up, but I couldn't be a rifleman like Danny. My mother, she made me promise I'd be a helper. So I went in as a Navy corpsman, to be attached to the Marines. Doc, they call us. We shipped out. We hit Incheon. It was a miracle, a brilliant amphibious landing. We pushed the North Koreans all the way back. It was easy. Too easy. We were cocky. We were the United States Marines, the best fighting force on Earth. We thought we were invincible. Then, in November, they sent us north. Way north, up into the Taebaek Mountains, to a place called the Chosin Reservoir. The name sounded cold. It was. The march up was beautiful. In a terrible way. The landscape was all jagged peaks and frozen rivers. But the cold was setting in. 10 degrees. Then 0. Then 10 below. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Danny shivered, his breath pluming. "This is colder than a witch's." "Well, you know, Eli. But don't worry. We'll be in our warm beds by Christmas." He was still joking. We all were. We were on top of the world. We'd beaten one army. We didn't know we were marching straight into another. On the night of November 27th, the world ended. The Chinese attacked. It wasn't an army. It was a flood. Tens of thousands of them. They came out of the hills, out of the snow, blowing bugles and whistles. It was terrifying. They swarmed us. We weren't an army anymore. We were isolated pockets of resistance, scattered along a frozen, winding road. We were outnumbered 10 to 1. We were surrounded. And the temperature dropped. 20 below. That's when my war truly began. My job was to keep men from dying, but the cold was my enemy. I had a bag full of morphine syrettes. They were frozen solid. I had plasma bags. They were frozen solid. A wounded man, he wouldn't just die from the bullet. He'd die from the cold. So, I improvised. I unbuttoned my parka, my jacket, my shirt. I shoved the syrettes and the plasma bags against my bare skin, under my armpits, against my stomach. I held them there, shivering, using my own body heat to keep them liquid. The cold metal and plastic burned my skin. It was a constant, gnawing pain. But it was the only way. When a man screamed, "Corpsman," I'd run. I'd run crouching, through the snow, the snap, snap, snap of bullets in the air. I'd find him. I'd rip open my parka, pulling a cigarette from my armpit, praying it was still liquid. I'd have to stick the needle into the man and hold my thumb on the plunger for a full minute, just willing the frozen morphine to thaw and flow. If you're finding meaning in this story, in the sacrifices made in a war that history tried to forget, it would mean the world if you'd subscribe. We tell these stories so that they are never forgotten. The days and nights blurred into one continuous nightmare of noise, cold, and fear. We were in a constant state of combat, trying to fight our way south, back to the sea. They called it advancing in a different direction. It was a retreat, a desperate, fighting retreat. Danny was in dog company. I was in Charlie. We were leapfrogging each other down the road. Every time we'd stop, I'd run over to his position, my heart in my throat, until I saw him. Still kicking, Eli, he'd yell, his face black with frostbite and grime. Just another day at the office. His humor was the only thing that wasn't frozen solid. Then came the night at Fox Hill. We were holding a perimeter, a small hill overlooking a crucial pass. If we lost it, the whole division would be cut off. The Chinese knew it, and they came. They came in waves. The bugles started at midnight. Flares lit up the sky, casting these long, terrifying shadows on the snow. And you could see them, thousands of them, in their quilted white uniforms, blending in with the snow. Our machine guns turned red hot, then jammed. The oil was frozen. Men were using them as clubs. My M1 carbine, it was a single-shot rifle. The gas mechanism was frozen. The battle was hand-to-hand. Bayonets, knives, fists. It was medieval. I was in my foxhole, which was really just a shallow scrape in the frozen dirt. I wasn't fighting. I was a medic. I was just waiting for the screams. They came. Corpsman up! Corpsman! I was out, crawling. A man was holding his arm. Shrapnel. I pulled a bandage from my bag. It was frozen stiff, like a piece of wood. I had to beat it against my helmet to break it up so I could wrap his arm. I got him patched. I crawled to the next one. A chest wound. I pulled the plasma from under my shirt. My hands were so numb, I could barely feel the needle. The plasma, it was slush. It wouldn't flow. It's too cold, son, I told him. He was just a kid. 18. He just looked at me. He nodded. He knew. He died 2 minutes later. I just left him and crawled to the next one. Then I heard it. A voice I knew better than my own. A desperate, terrified yell. Eli, Corpsman. It's Sullivan. Danny's hit. Eli, get over here. My blood turned to ice. It had nothing to do with the temperature. Dog Company's position was 50 yards away. 50 yards of open snow, lit by flares, swept by a machine gun. I didn't think. I just ran. I was screaming. I don't know what I was screaming. I was just running. The snow was deep. It was up to my knees. It was like running in wet cement. Zizzing. A bullet snapped past my head. Zizzing. Another one kicked up snow right in front of me. I fell. I got up. I kept running. My aid bag was bouncing, hitting me in the back. The only thing in my mind was Danny. I dove the last 10 feet, sliding into a shell crater. His squad leader was there, firing his carbine. Where is he? I yelled. He pointed, his face grim. Over there, by the rock. He took it bad, Doc. I low-crawled. The machine gun was still firing. Thwack, thwack, thwack. The bullets were hitting the rock he was behind. I got to him. Danny? He was on his back, his eyes half closed, looking at the sky. The snow around him, it wasn't red. It was dark, almost black. It was too cold for blood to be bright. Eli? He whispered. His voice was small. I'm here, Danny. I'm here, buddy. You're gonna be okay. I was lying. I knew it the second I saw him. He'd been hit by a mortar, shrapnel, in his stomach. It was bad. It's so cold, Eli, he whispered. His teeth were chattering. He wasn't bleeding out. He was freezing to death. The shrapnel had opened him up, and the 30 below air was just stealing his life. We gotta get you warm, Danny. We gotta I ripped my parka open. I fumbled for the plasma. My hands, they were just claws. I couldn't feel my fingers. Come on, come on. I got the bag out. It was slush. Useless. Morphine. Okay, I'll give you morphine. I pulled a syringe from under my arm. I pushed the needle against his leg, through his frozen trousers. I put my thumb on the plunger. It wouldn't move. Frozen solid. Damn it! I screamed. I screamed at the sky. I screamed at God. It's okay, Eli, Danny mumbled. No, it's not okay. You're gonna be fine. We're going home for Christmas, remember? We're gonna go to Fenway, see the Sox, see Ted Williams hit one. I was babbling. I was crying. My tears were freezing to my face. Eli, he said, his voice a little stronger. He grabbed my arm. His hand was like ice. You're the best friend a guy could. His voice trailed off. No, Danny, don't you dare. You stay with me. Stay with me. I unclipped my canteen. I was going to try and pour water on the syringe. To thaw it. I opened it. Solid ice. I threw it. I wrapped my arms around him. I pulled his head onto my chest. I tried to give him my own body heat. I tried to push my own life into him. Don't go, Danny. Please, don't leave me here. He just shuddered, a long, slow breath out, and he got heavy. He was gone. I held him. I sat there in the snow under the flares, with the bullets snapping over my head, and I held my best friend. I screamed. It wasn't a human sound. It was just this howl, this animal, sound of pure grief. I rocked him, crying, my face buried in his frozen parka. His squad leader, he crawled over. He put his hand on my shoulder. He had to physically pull me off of him. He's gone, Doc. He's gone. We gotta go. We gotta keep fighting. I nodded. I was numb. The cold in my bones was nothing compared to the cold in my heart. I left him there, by the rock. I couldn't even cover him. The ground was like iron. I crawled back to my foxhole. I pulled the plasma bags and the morphine from my jacket. I threw them in the snow. I just sat there. For the rest of the night, I didn't help anyone. I couldn't. We broke out. We fought our way down that frozen road for 2 weeks. We carried our wounded. We carried our dead. We made it to the sea. They called us the chosen few. They called us heroes. I didn't feel like a hero. I just felt empty. I got home in 1951. I stepped off the bus in Boston. My mother was there. She hugged me. Oh, Elias, you're so thin. I walked down my street. My old street. People were mowing their lawns. Kids were riding bikes. A neighbor, Mr. Henderson, waved. Hey there, Eli. Good to have you back, son. How was it? I just looked at him. How was it? I saw Danny, his face pale in the flare light. I saw the frozen plasma. I felt the 30 below wind. It was cold, sir, I said. It was very cold. And I walked inside. No one ever asked again. It was the forgotten war. I went to college. I became a pharmacist. I got married. I had a son. I had grandchildren. I lived a good life. A long life. But every winter, every time the snow falls, I'm back on that hill. I'm back there holding him. I kept my silver star. They gave me one for the run to Danny. I kept it in a sock drawer. My grandson found it when he was 10. Grandpa, what's this? He was holding it. I looked at the medal. Then I looked at him, and I told him everything. I told him about the cold. I told him about the morphine. And I told him about the Danny. I told him about the bravest man I ever knew, who joked as he froze, and who died on a hill that nobody remembers, in a war that everyone forgot. When I was done, my grandson, he put his hand on my arm, just like Danny did. He sounded like a hero, Grandpa. I nodded. The tears were rolling down my old, wrinkled face. But this time, they weren't freezing. He was, I said. He was. The war is only forgotten if we let it be. The cold, it can't hold you forever. Not if you have someone to tell. Not if you remember.